expert portion of the show where we examine those three little words that men find so hard to say. I don't know. Okay. Now, joining me, Uncle Red, on this portion of the experts is his best friend in this whole wide room, ferry boat captain, Hap Shaughnessy. All right, letter goes as follows. I'm a university student. After living for a semester in a frat house, I've become a bit of an expert on animal behavior and wildlife. Should I switch my major from television arts to veterinary science, zoology, or wildlife management? I'd say no. I'd say no. I'd say no. Because animals, they have like sharp teeth and claws, right? One time I went to Marine World just outside Port Asbestos, right? And an otter slapped me so hard in the face my taco came out my nose. So I'd say no.
Well, better him than me, Harold.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, though, now they have the tranquilizer darts and they got special equipment for animals. It's just not dangerous to do that kind of work anymore.
Oh, animals don't need to be drugged. That's just pure laziness. When I worked at the wildlife reserve in Kenya, we used to have to go out and tag the lions, measure them for their height and their weight, and check their teeth and so on. And I never once used a tranquilizer dart to put them asleep.
What'd you do? Tell them one of your stories?
No. No. I'd wait till he was napping. And then I'd creep out. I'd creep out and I'd measure him from the nose to the tail, and I'd weigh him on a scale, clean his teeth, and staple a tag to his ear.
Now, Mr. Shaughnessy, I'm not an expert on lions. And unlike yourself, I've never claimed to be. But, I would imagine that stapling a tag to a lion's ear might, make them wake up and be angry.
Yeah, well, that's exactly right, Harold. That's why I tagged the ear last, because they rarely slept through that. But in a good week, I could tag and weigh a whole pride of lions.
Well, yeah, you're known for your pride of lion.
The experts portion of the show where we address those three little words that men find so hard to say. I don't know. Today's letter reads, Dear experts, last night I celebrated a little too much, was arrested in a hotel room with two strange women, and lost my wife's car in a high-stakes gambling match. And now she's really mad at me. However, I figured a way to get out of this trouble scot-free. In order for my plan to succeed, however, I need your expert opinion. Is time travel possible? Signed, ready to leave yesterday. Gentlemen?
Well, in theory it is. Maybe not now, but in the future, certainly.
Well, just a second now. I would think then if time travel is going to be possible in the future, then by now somebody from the future would have come back to see us.
Well, they do. That's what UFOs are. People coming back from the future. Gee whiz, it's in all the papers.
Yeah, what papers are those, Dalton? The one you put under the puppy?
You are so skeptical, huh?
Yeah.
How do you know that I'm not a super intelligent alien that's come back from the future?
Because I went to school with you.
Could we answer this guy's letter, please?
All right, I'm sorry, but time travel makes no sense to me at all. Even if it was possible, I wouldn't want to go back in the past because my time machine would break and I got to try and fix it with Edsel parts. And I sure as heck don't want to go into the future. I can't operate the appliances I got now.
So, you would advise our viewer to abandon the whole time travel concept?
Well, I'll completely abandon that. This guy just needs to get away and lie low. He doesn't need time travel. He needs travel time.
Yeah, but, what if time travel was possible? When would you guys go back to?
Oh, boy. I'd probably go back to the date of my birth.
I'd probably go back 9 months before that, and then I could meet my dad. What about you, Mr. Green?
I think I'd go back 10 minutes and burn that letter.
To the experts portion of the show where we address those three little words that men find so hard to say. I don't know. Excellent.
And joining Red today is a lodge member and local antique, Mr. Dalton Humphrey.
That's antique dealer.
Oh, sorry about that. Okay, today's letter reads as follows. Dear experts, recently I bought one of those home barber kits for my family. It works really well and we all had a lot of fun with it. My question is, can you recommend a style of hat that my whole family could wear for the next month or two?
Yeah, okay. I mean, hats can be smart looking, and this guy needs something to make him look smart at this point, I would say.
Well, we've got a fine selection of hats at Humphrey's Everything Store. You know, even though I personally don't wear hats.
Oh, you'd have to go with an onion bag.
You know, I recommend the hard hat. That way you can combine style with safety.
Now, see, okay, now I have a problem with that. See, I don't think people should wear hats that they don't honestly use in their daily life. Now, a hard hat, well, that's fine for you, Winston, because there's a reason for that, you know? I mean, you either use it in your work or you got a soft head or something like that. But that guy in the Village People, I don't think so.
So you're saying don't wear a cowboy hat if you're not a cowboy?
Well, exactly. If you're out there driving cattle or mending fences, fine. But eating baked beans is not enough.
Okay, but, well, what about a beret?
Same deal with a beret. If you wear a beret, you better either be part of a special military strike force or on your way to a poetry reading. And if you're both, well, you got some serious decisions to make about where your life is going.
See, that's a military hat you're wearing, isn't it, Red?
Oh,
Yeah, how many years was it that you served again, Red?
Hey, I've been married 35 years. I served every one of them.
No, that's not an official military assignment. That's more of a volunteer civilian position.
Well, okay, but I've had this hat a long time, all right? It's called a field maneuvers cap. I got this in my dating years, and I had a few field maneuvers, believe me.
Too bad you never saw active service.
Welcome to the expert portion of the show. And this week on the expert portion of the show, we have two experts, my Uncle Red and his best friend, Mr. Dalton Humphrey. Okay, all right, here's the letter here. It goes as follows. Dear experts, alrighty, what is an appropriate wedding gift when it's the third time around for the groom and the fourth for the bride?
Well, how about one of them do-it-yourself divorce kits? Got the little sign on there, some disassembly required.
No, Red, when a wedding is the nth time around like this one is, you want to get something that'll capture the feelings of the bride and groom.
All right.
Now, I would suggest something used. Or as we say in the antique business, previously enjoyed.
Well, I would think that when a couple's been married a lot of times, too, you know, they already got all the wedding gifts. I mean, what are you going to do with a dozen toasters, eh? I guess you could heat your house.
Yeah, well, what settings are you going to put them on?
Well, if it's night, you set it for dark.
You know, a couple that's been married before may not be as hard to shop for as you think. You know, especially if they've been wiped out in a previously messy divorce.
Oh, I know. Great device for somebody who's had a terrible personal tragedy like that. Yeah. Anything. They'll take anything. Yeah. God, I love that. Yeah. Sad, though. It's sad.
Well,
yeah. God, it's a shame.
I've got...
You guys are awful. That sounds terrible. You're so cynical. You make marriage sound so cheap and cold and used.
No. Not used, Harold. Previously enjoyed.
Welcome to the expert portion of the show. And on this week's expert portion of the show, we have two experts. One being my Uncle Red and his good friend, Mr. Dalton Humphrey. This week's letter goes as follows. Dear experts, my wife and I are going through a divorce. From each other. How can we equally divide up our stuff when we only have one good piece of furniture?
Well, the phrase chainsaw comes to mind.
You know, it's a tough problem. I know, because about 3 weeks ago, my wife and I decided we maybe get divorced.
What? You and Anne-Marie getting a divorce, are you?
Well, yeah, she wanted to wait till our daughter was 20, and that happened last month. So after 14 years of marriage, she moved out. Walked right out.
Wow.
Sorry to hear that, Mr. Humphrey.
Don't worry about it, Harold. It's all right.
Hey, Dalton, I'll tell you something. That is her loss. Yeah. I'll tell you. You're going to find out that you're going to be the lucky one now, because I'll tell you something. Most folks around here never liked her. So many times you'd hear them saying, you know, boy, oh boy, how did he end up with that one? You know, he'd be better off without her. She's holding him back, so don't you worry.
I had no idea that folks felt that way.
Oh, man, I'm telling you, they just couldn't stand the sight of her. And when they find out that this thing has finally gone kaput, there's going to be a big celebration, I'll tell you that.
Well, I wonder how they'll feel when they find out that she's come back after a week and we reconciled, decided we really loved each other.
Just off the top of my head, I would imagine they'd be somewhat embarrassed, you know, about some of the things they'd said, and I would expect that they would owe you a fairly good-sized apology.
Who was it was saying that stuff?
Well, to be honest with you, it was mainly Harold.
On Experts, we're being joined by Mr. Winston Rothschild. The first letter goes as follows. Dear Experts, I have to give a speech at our next general meeting, and I'm very nervous about talking to a group of people. Can you help me?
Well, I always find that excessive alcohol consumption really loosens.
Well, no, Uncle Red, I don't think that being drunk's going to help this lady's speech.
No, I meant the audience, Harold. You get them so juiced up they can't hear you, it really takes the pressure off. You know?
Low self-esteem, there's your problem, eh? Oh, yeah, I've been there. You know, before the septic business, I wouldn't even hold my head up.
Now you have to, I would think.
Well, anyway, I learned the 3 jump starts of self-power and bigger lungs in a book. If you can do that, any idiot can, by Anthony.
Oh, man, you didn't take another one of those selfish help course things, did you?
Well, I wasn't going to at first, but I worked up the courage after watching Seize the Self-Help Course of the Day by Walter Mollusk.
So, Winston, what are the 3 jump start points to a bigger lungs thing, you know, without, you know, pumping sewage?
Well, number 1, dominate your audience. I like to do it from a 15-foot step ladder and just sort of talk down to them, eh?
Well, ma'am, for this speech, you might want to wear slacks.
You know something? There's really nothing like seeing an audience like this, eh? Putty in your hair. Number 2, have a little dynamics to your voice, eh? Like, for instance, whisper the nouns and shout the verbs.
I don't think the audience would like that. It's harder to sleep through.
But the most important one of all, C. Have something to say worth listening to, eh?
Yeah, well, my advice to this person is get up there and just tell the filthiest joke you know.
And that's exactly why you were never invited back to give a guest sermon at that church.
Well, I had to do something to break the ice, Harold. They wouldn't let me bring any booze in.
Welcome to the expert portion of the show. And on this week's expert portion of the show, we have 2 experts, my Uncle Red and his good friend, Mr. Winston Rothschild. All right, here's our first letter, and it goes as follows. Dear experts, my dad says I should stay in school and get an education. I want to get out and get my dream job now. What do you think?
Oh, that's no contest. Get out there and get the job. Man, I'll tell you, a degree is just a piece of paper.
See, just a second now. The road to a higher education is not a one-way street, eh? Take me, for example. I took an alternative route. After I quit high school, and started up, Rothschild Sewage and Septic Sucking Services. It was after that I got my college degrees, in my spare time. There are a number of great learning institutions to pretty much anybody who can read the back of a matchbook cover. Right now, I'm working on a degree from MIT.
Not the Massachusetts Institute of Technology.
No, Murray School of Tennis.
See, the way I see it is if I get my PhD from Murray's, that'll be 9 in total. Oh, yeah, 9, that's right. Winston Rothschild, PhD, LLX, SOL, IOU, DOA, VCR, PDQ, QT, and of course, T&A.
Well, look at you, Winston. You got all those degrees. Look what you're doing. You're running the sewage business. That's what I'm saying. The education's not worth it. Just go for the job.
Wait a minute. You don't have any education. All you're doing is hosting this show. You're no better than me.
So you're saying, like, we're both in the sewage business?
Well, yeah, but I take it away.
Welcome to the expert portion of the show. That part of the show where we examine those 3 little words that men find so hard to say. I don't know. Way excellent. Okay. All right. Joining me, Uncle Red, in the expert portion of the show this week is Mr. Winston Rothschild of the Rothschild Sewage and Septic Sucking Services.
Where our motto is, if your cup overflows, I'll be there with my hose.
Okie dokie. All right, this is our first letter, and it's from Edna K. And it goes as follows. Dear experts, I want to go on a grand vacation. Should I travel across the sea or somewhere in North America?
All right, Edna, I'd say stay with North America, because you want to be able to drive home. I tell you get into your 3rd week of Czechoslovakian cheeseburgers, you're going to want to slide into the van and head west, believe me.
No, I gotta beg to differentiate with you there, Red. Europe's where you want to go. That's where all the history is. It's where she all began.
Where what all began?
Western civilization.
That's right, yeah. Or more specifically, sewage systems. Oh, yeah, you can still go see and visit the ancient Roman sewage system, the famous Cloaca Maxima.
Oh, boy.
Oh, yeah. I'll tell you, when you're looking down a toilet drain that was built in 580 BC, it's almost like you're looking up the back end of your family tree.
Maybe our viewer would like to go to Europe, to visit museums and castles and see the sites where, the turning points of history actually occurred.
Well, whatever, if that's your thing, But, I mean, how does that compare with seeing the home of Englishman Sir John Harington, who in 1596 had the only water closet in the entire British Empire?
Boy, I bet he had a lineup.
And I advise that you go to Europe, and go out and see things that aren't around here.
Oh, for sure. Oh, France, you gotta go to France. Oh, yeah, you gotta see the bathroom graffiti in Versailles. Oh, yeah, that's where, in Marie Antoinette's own handwriting, it says, let them eat cake, but go easy on the bran muffins.
Welcome to the expert portion of the show, where we explore those 3 little words that men find so hard to say. Okay. Joining me, Uncle Red, on the expert portion of the show this week is Mr. Winston Rothschild of Rothschild Sewage and Septic Sucking Services.
Thank you. Where our motto is, if your eyes are stinging, my phone should be ringing.
Okay. Today's letter reads out, Dear experts, every summer and fall, my wife makes fruit preserves. They're pretty much inevitable. Or does that say inedible? They're either inevitable or inedible.
Probably both, Harold.
How can I show her I really appreciate her preserves without eating any?
All right, okay. I find the fruit preserves are kind of like neckties. It's something you get at Christmas from people who either don't like you or are too cheap to buy you a real gift.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, I give my mom's preserves to customers who haven't paid. Oh, yeah, it sends a real message.
Yeah.
Oh, and if they eat them, generates a lot more business.
All right, Winston, you better hope your mom's not watching.
This show, not a chance.
You know, another thing though, this with the preserves is, you know, you guys could be donating them to like food banks.
Oh, come on, Harold. Those people have enough problems. Baby.
See, no one said that preserves had to be eaten, eh? And my mom's preserves make great paint. Oh, yeah, they're colorful and they stick to anything. I use it to undercoat the honey wagon.
No, I think you guys are missing the point here, because the operative words that this fella writes are, how can I show her I really appreciate her efforts?
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah.
Well, I think, you know, maybe, like, you know, tell her the truth, that maybe you just don't like her preserves, but, you know, credit her for things that you do really appreciate about her.
Oh, that's a good point. Because, you know, chances are she's, you know, fairly attractive.
Well preserved.
All right. It's that part of the program where we focus on the three little words men find so hard to say. I don't know. Okay, excellent. All righty, now, to join my Uncle Red in the expert portion of the show is his best friend and the president of Rothschild Septic and Sewage Sucking Services, Mr. Winston Rothschild. This week's letter comes from a lady in Cincinnati, Ohio. Dear expert, I've been trying to start my own car rental business, and it's been a disaster. I only rented one car last year, and the guy never brought it back. So technically, I guess that's car theft. What can I do to save my business? Signed, the number 2 car rental company. We're not number 2, but we feel like it.
Well, your problem here is clear. It's market position, okay? I mean, well, you got to be first and you got to be best. If you can't be best, you better be first, because if you can't be first, it's not going to be enough to be best.
Now, is that true also in romance? Because these days it's awfully hard to be first. Harold's having trouble just getting in line.
See, this lady in Cincinnati, she wasn't the first to get into the car rental business.
Right. No.
So she should have picked a different business to get into, I say. You know, something a little more unique, you know. I personally would lean towards sewage.
Well, it might be a little difficult. Cincinnati's a big city, and, you know, maybe it doesn't run on septic tanks.
Well, that's too bad, you know, because it's a growth business. I mean, when you think about it, it's the last thing people stop doing.